Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Montoya Smith, aka Black Socrates. Wanted to go live. I was doing, mostly last year. I was doing a lot of updates, with the COVID-19 and the vaccine. And some of you know that I'm in a Novavax vaccine trial, so I've just been trying to give updates. Clearly, there's some big news with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine being halted. I'm gonna do some invites before I continue, so y'all bear with me. All right. So just wanted to provide some context. A lot of times, like I said, just been giving updates throughout the year in reference to the vaccine, just trying to give people the facts. And so, with that said, I thought it'd be smart to jump on here and, give an update, even when we've had, this Johnson & Johnson when halted. Just wanted to give up some of the details that I found when looking into it. So just wanted to share this information with everybody. Again, just if you're familiar with the Mental Dialogue Community Club, we call ourselves Truth Seekers, so just trying to seek out the correct information, let people know what's going on. So just want to do, again, just a little quick update. I'm just doing some invites right now, to get people in on what we're talking about here. Again, just keeping y'all updated is the goal. All right, let me do 10 more, and then I'll get this thing started. All right. 2, all right, 3. All right, just bear with me. I'm gonna do a few more invites and I'm gonna get this thing started. 5, I'm gonna do 5 more. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, here we go. All right, y'all. So again, just wanted to do a quick update. I'm pretty sure everybody's seen the news. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the one-shot vaccine, has been halted. I don't know if you've looked into the details, so I just took a quick look. Going to make this short. I wanted to tell people the details because I know a lot of times when people see headlines like that with all the vaccine hesitancy, and obviously people like myself who are advocating, getting the vaccine, so people will see a headline and not necessarily look into it. And so again, as I've been doing a bunch of updates, just talking about the development of these vaccines. You can go back and see some of my other videos in reference to it. I just thought it would be appropriate to provide an update with this latest situation with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. I just took a quick look into it. Pretty sure there's a lot more details than I might be able to provide you here. But just looking into it, they've halted it based on 6 people have, after getting the vaccine, about 6 people have developed a just rare blood clots or something to that degree. And so with those 6 people, the Pfizer, the Pfizer and the Moderna one are not showing adverse effects to the degree that, and it's not even so much, it's really just particularly this particular blood clot situation. So the Johnson & Johnson one had about 6 people out of Johnson & Johnson, just to give some context. And that's what I want to do. This is what the numbers I'm going to give are not about minimizing the situation. It's about giving full context for those who like to have all the information. And again, because I've been providing these updates, I want to continue to do so. So if Johnson & Johnson, 7 million of those dosages have been given out in the United States. And they had a situation where 6 people have developed blood clots after getting the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And so just wanted to walk through the scientific process. Again, I am a science advocate. And again, it's just giving full context. You don't have to agree with me being a vaccine advocate or whatever, but again, it's just trying to give the information in the context that I know quite often when headlines go out, the full context will not be provided. So again, 7 million dosages of Johnson & Johnson had been given out. But what they're doing, they're halting it right now because about 6 people have developed this blood clot and 1 person actually died due to the blood clots. So right now they're halting the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and the CDC scientists and the FDA scientists are getting together to actually see if the vaccine was causal in reference to these blood clots. So right now, that's not been determined. However, what I like to always let people know and understand when it comes to the scientific methodology, again, as I will continue to highlight, as a science advocate, I advocate for the methodology of the scientific process. And it's not so much about whether I trust the scientists or trust these people or not, but the methodology and the process quite often does just what we see now. So basically, you probably have heard of the VAERS report, which is basically the vaccine adverse effects. And so a lot of people don't know quite how that report works. So, and this is kind of really any medicine that's rolled out on the market. This is pretty much how the process is done. But obviously, with this being a national pandemic, we now hear the actual terms that the scientists use, and that's the only reason we as the public know about the VAERS report. This is a report that's been used or whatever, but they're making it public because this is a national pandemic. So the VAERS report, just to tell you how it works, is so basically. After you get the vaccine, this is any medicine that's coming on the market, but in particular to these vaccines. So after you get the vaccine, any adverse effect that you have is going to be recorded. And let me be clear about what I'm saying with that. Like, the adverse effect may or may not be related to the actual vaccine, but anything that happens to you after getting a vaccine, it will be recorded on the report. So excuse me. So I've seen, like, for example, anti-vaxxers. I've had one friend. We always go back and forth about the vaccine. And let me see what my man Jack Ponte says. All right, so he's my man Jack Ponte. He's more thorough than me when it comes to the research. He's since giving some scientific terms here. I hope I can say it correctly. Adenovirus vector is likely the cause of the CVST and thrombocytopenia, I can't say it, and plus the autoimmune to the PF4. So he's, again, I didn't have as much research. I was just giving you the general research that I find just to give some updates. But basically what Jack is laying out here, he's kind of giving the specifics to I guess what they're finding as they're doing this. But as I said, the FDA and the CDC scientists were getting together just to check, in a sense, to see if these blood clots were caused by the vaccine. So that's what the HALT is. The HALT is to check. So again, explaining the VAERS report, again, where anything that happens after you take the vaccine will be reported. Again, that's regardless of whether it's causal or not, but it will be reported. The reason they do the report that way is because they want to check any trends that this is the very process. That's why I'm pointing out the scientific process. So they do the report that way because if they see something that's kind of higher than they expected to be, it gives them it lets them take a pause and say, hey, we might want to check this adverse effect. It's happening at a higher rate than what we typically expect, if you will. And so it gives them reason to pause. And that's what's happening with this Johnson & Johnson. But like a few seconds ago, again, I was telling you how some of the quote-unquote anti-vaxxers, I'm not talking about people who don't want to take the vaccine. I'm talking about those who put out who unfortunately intentionally put out misinformation. So what they've been telling people about the VAERS report. So for example, you can see the VAERS report and you will see, I haven't looked at it but to be honest, I haven't looked at it in a couple of months. But a couple of months ago, I think it was up to like 1,300 deaths. And so the anti-vaxxers won't explain exactly how the VAERS report works. And they'll tell you that there's those 1,300 people is the CDC itself reporting that the vaccine has killed 1,300 people, when in fact, no, it's just the vaccine was given, somebody died thereafter, may not be related to the vaccine, but the way any medicine that's put on the market, they have to report all adverse effects, whether causal or not. So somebody that dies after taking, it might be somebody, for example, somebody older that went and got the vaccine, but they end up yeah, exactly. I'm gonna point that out as well, Jack, about AstraZeneca, if I'm saying it correctly. But anyway, real quick, just again, I just want to give clarity. So if for say y'all use myself as example. So I'm actually, if y'all recall, some of y'all have been following me, so y'all know I'm in a vaccine trial. For example, I'm actually signed up to get the actual the vaccine. I'm with Novavax. They're not approved yet. They're trying to get approval. So, for example, just showing you how the VAERS report works, just to give, again, to provide clarity. So, for example, I'm with Novavax, so I'm going to get another shot at the end of the month. So let's say that's the actual vaccine. I get that shot, and if I die a month later, I will be put on the VAERS report for that particular company to say, hey, here's a death. That doesn't automatically mean causal, but the anti-vaxxers, they might find out about my death, and they will go get to the internet, click, and say, hey, Montoya died because of the vaccine. They'll kind of insinuate, or sometimes they'll just outright lie on the, and put that information out. And so it unfortunately increases the fears. So anyway, I'm just explaining those details to show you how in this situation, the methodology and the process kind of takes care of itself. If it was, in a sense, this big conspiracy that the anti-vaxxers, again, when I say anti-vaxxers, I'm talking about a particular group that is very intentional in their efforts. If it was the conspiracy that they were saying, there would be, in a sense, no reason to even point out that we have these 6 people that have gotten this blood clot and we're going to halt the whole thing. Like right now, the government and everybody involved with this vaccine is very aware of the hesitancy that is already out there. So they're very aware that even having to pause the Johnson & Johnson is going to add to that hesitancy. However, the process just works the way it is. I will offer my little 3 cents, in my opinion, to say part of the reason that they've probably halted it is due to all of the unfortunate misinformation and hesitancy. So they're probably going, in my opinion, a little over top to be cautious when you think of 6 people getting a blood clot out of 7 million people being, given doses of the Johnson & Johnson. And unfortunately, one of those people have died. So that's what the FDA and CDC are meeting for now, to actually, see if it's causal. And the process is, in the event that it is, the Johnson & Johnson won't come back online. Like my man Jack Punty pointed out on here, the AstraZeneca, which hadn't been given out in the United States, already went through that process. It was having the same problem in some various countries, like in Europe, I think, and some other countries. And so they actually halted. Some people probably already seen those headlines where they halted it, and they halted it to see. It was some blood clots were showing up on whatever report they use in their country. It was showing up. They actually already did the test and found out it wasn't related to the vaccine, and AstraZeneca came back online. Again, I'm just pointing out that the methodology and the process, for the most part, is what protects us. I'm not even counting on an individual who, again, this is just for people that are in my opinion, over the top with the conspiracy. Just understand that the process is kind of looking out for us, because why would they even put it out if there was this big conspiracy? Why halt anything if the goal was to hurt us with the vaccine? So let me see what my man Jack's saying, because I know it's going to be some good information. Again, that's how I even do the update, is to give people information. So let me go back to his. Some of this is very specific. Again, this brother's a better researcher than me, so I'm just going to read what he's saying. I might not be able to even explain it all, but again, this is just giving people more details to what's actually going on, because at the end of the day, you don't have to agree with me to take the vaccine. I'm not trying to do that. But again, as a company, as a media company who tries to put out the correct information, I want to at least give you the information so you can at least be updated with the full context, versus somebody stealing a headline and, kind of sending you down a path without giving you the information. So here's what Jack Ponte, again, great friend, been on our show, love this dude. Again, he says, so somebody says J&J, same problem as AstraZeneca. I already talked about that. It says symptoms of headaches and abdominal pain may indicate CVST. Jack, if you're still on here, is the CVST related to the blood clot specifically? Because I'm not familiar with the term. So I'm a maybe, or tell me what CVST is, so that'll help me better explain it to the people that may be trying to get this information. But again, I'm just sharing these comments from Jack, who does more research than me. Again, I'm just trying to give y'all a minimal update so that y'all are, in a sense, not running wild with just headlines. He says, Moderna's issued a statement, a comprehensive assessment of safety data found no connection to CVST. I'm assuming the CVST is blood clots. I don't know if let me see if he's on here. He may have left. All right. But I'm assuming the CVST is related to the blood clots, because that's kind of all I saw. I didn't see the exact. I didn't see. Oh yeah, somebody suggested I bring Jack on. Oh yeah, I'll do that if you're on, Jack. If you're on, try to bring you on because I know you can speak to it even more specific than I can because by nature you do more research than I do. Let me see if I see him. I don't see him. Good suggestion. Low key, I think that's who suggested that. Let me see if I can get back to the camera. He may have left. Jack, Jack, if you're on, I don't know if you'll let me bring you on, but I mean, you're giving me so much specifics. I probably, if you don't mind coming on just for a few minutes to maybe even get some clarity, because all I'm doing is reading what you're saying, and I'm not as as much as I like science, I'm not as abreast to it as you are. I don't mind. I love bringing on people who know more than I do. Let me see if I can make some sense of it if he's not able to come, if I don't see him out there to come on. Let me see if I can find him. Yeah, I don't see him out there to add him. I would definitely try to add him because he's on here. Let me see what let me see what he's saying. Rare clotting disorder that affects 1 or 2% of people after exposure to heparin. In rare cases, the platelet factor 4 antibody has been associated with CVST. Okay, says researchers in Germany and Norway quickly identified an autoantibody called platelet factor 4 that appeared to be linked to the syndrome caused by AstraZeneca. Okay. Again, this is the same problem that AstraZeneca had, which is another vaccine, if you hadn't heard that term, that's being used in other countries. The funny thing is the United States has a bunch of dosages of AstraZeneca. And I saw another article just highlighting this. I saw another article right before this Johnson & Johnson got halted. And they was just talking again, due to the vaccine hesitancy, and again, I'm not saying whether you're valid for having it or not having it. I'm just pointing out that they've always, in a sense, there's a great understanding by the, in a sense, scientific community that this is an issue that has to be addressed. It's part of the reason, to a degree, why the rollout and the rollout and the logistics have not been great in the U.S. on rolling it out. I'm pretty sure other countries have experienced the same thing, but it definitely doesn't help that the vaccine hesitancy is causing people, in a sense, not to go get the vaccine. And so it's playing a role in people not getting enough or whatever in situations like this. So they're very aware that they're going to create even more hesitancy with that. So again, I point that out to say that the process is working. When they see something, they check the process and say, okay, let's see if this thing is actually causing this issue or not. The AstraZeneca had already been proven not to be, because it's already been through that. Hopefully the Johnson & Johnson will prove not to be. I was mentioning this as well. The United States has I forgot, I actually saw the number, but right now I don't want to tell you the wrong number, but the AstraZeneca, we have a bunch of those dosages here in the U.S., but because we had the Moderna and Pfizer and Johnson rolling out, we just hadn't used them yet. And some other countries who don't have a lot of dosages, the U.S. may be sending their AstraZeneca dosages to those countries. But in that article, they were just pointing out, due to the widespread hesitancy worldwide, it ain't just in the U.S., that even the U.S. shipping those dosages, if they choose to do that to some of those countries that don't have a lot of dosages, if they were to ship the AstraZeneca, the article was pointing out that even that common sense move, right, since the U.S. is not using these dosages and there's countries that need it, it would be kind of cordial. It makes common sense to say, hey, we'll send it to your country since you're lacking it. But what they pointed out is the hesitancy is so high, and again, a lot of this is being driven by the anti-vaxxers, that the hesitancy is so high that even the simple move of the United States assisting another country and sending their AstraZeneca to that country can appear to be faulty, because it's like, oh, the U.S. doesn't even want to use AstraZeneca. So that proves that the AstraZeneca is a lesser vaccine than all the others. Again, that's just highlighting what even the concerns that the scientific community is so aware of, the hesitancy, that even their common sense, one country helping another, can appear to be devious. Whereas the reason the U.S. hadn't used it wasn't because it was a lesser vaccine. They just hadn't used it because we had our own rollout of Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. So again, just wanted to give just good details, be as informative as I can be. And I don't hide the fact that, again, that I'm a vaccine advocate and that kind of stuff. And so some people would use that alone to say, this is why I'm advocating. Well, really, I'm just trying to do is give you the context of the Johnson and Johnson and why it's been halted. So just giving people that context. And then last thing I pointed out on on the title. Just saw this as well. Y'all probably heard it. The Buffalo Bills, the NFL team, has come out and said they want to go full scale with their people coming back to the stadium. Like, for example, here in Atlanta, the Atlanta Braves are doing half capacity with letting people into the games, and they're still doing masks and all this kind of stuff. The Buffalo Bills, they're wanting to go no mask, full capacity. However, they are going to require you to show your vaccine, that you've been vaccinated, a card or whatever that they give you. Same thing you would use on a passport. So they put that out publicly, that that they want to go full capacity, no mask. You just have to come to the whatever. But anyway, just highlighting that, because I know, again, just due to the hesitancy and how that appears, people will highlight that and say, hey, look at them. They're making this thing mandatory, whereas the Buffalo Bills, same thing. They are, in a sense, private company, if you will, private business. They're saying, hey, here's what it will take for you to be allowed in our business. Kind of same thing. Just kind of flipping it or bringing it back to the table, like, where Colin Kaepernick was kneeling and things of that nature. Obviously, there's an idea of free speech. However, the NFL, being a private entity, can treat that different. And obviously that man was, pushed out of the league. And so in this case, the Buffalo Bills. So obviously now the wonder is, will other NFL or other sports franchises follow that lead? And, and that's what but some of the dialogue earlier last year when the vaccine, talk about the vaccine coming out, that was going to be the situation where the government be making it mandatory. And the reality is, a lot of industries will do it, especially, for example, whether you agree with it or not, it makes sense from the standpoint of, if they want to go full capacity. So now you're basically creating, quote unquote, a super spreader environment. And so they've decided, we want to go full capacity. So in order to do it, though, you must be vaccinated, because, whether you agree with the vaccine or not, the way they are promoted and put out there, the vaccines, the Johnson and Johnson, the Moderna, and the Pfizer, have 100% efficacy against actually the COVID-19 disease. You being, you dying or being you dying. Like, they're 100% against that. The other efficacies that are out there are in reference to you catching it. And, right now they're still doing studies on how well these vaccines are stopping transmission. I always like to make that real clear, because a lot of people haven't heard that distinction. Because a lot of other vaccines, for example, that most of us in the United States have already gotten, they're good at stopping transmission of the actual disease. So if you can't, so even if you can't transmit it, you definitely can't get the disease, and they're all protect you against actually getting the disease. So that's how a lot of the vaccines that we've already taken in our lives, rubella, measles, chickenpox, that efficacy is, obviously those vaccines have been around. With this new one, with the rollout, and then, obviously I know the, coming out pretty fast has been a concern, but I've addressed that on other videos, so I won't readdress that here. But I will say that with this one, they didn't do the rollout in a manner to ensure it stopped transmission. So that actually alarmed a lot of people. Like, damn, I can get take the vaccine and still get it. Right now, they're still doing the studies. There was a study that came out, I think, what's the date? March 18th, out of Israel. I mean, I love looking at this stuff, so I just try to share out information. But there was showing that the vaccines they had there, I don't know which one it was, though, to be honest, but it was showing pretty good. A study that showed out that it was doing pretty good against transmissions. So that's, from what I understand, is still being studied. I hadn't researched that. There's probably some information out on that now, but I haven't, researched that. But with that said, a lot of the Buffalo Bills may have set a precedence that we may see with these other leagues, saying, hey, you got the vaccine, because at the end of the day, the vaccine will keep you from dying. And I don't want to highlight the dying thing, because I've always said, a lot of people say it's only 1% die, which is definitely the case. Not trying to overstate that. It's actually less than 1% to a degree, with the numbers that I see now or whatever. So a lot of times that makes people say, well, yeah, why do I even need to get it? What I always highlight anytime I do one of these videos is, it's not just the deaths, unfortunately. About 20% or about 19% of people experience long-term issues from fighting corona or coronavirus, if you will. When their body's actually trying to fight it off. Some people have heart attacks. For every one death, there's 3 strokes. So I always like to point out the collateral damage to, say that, hey, while 500,000 deaths in a little over a year is a lot of deaths in itself, that's still not showing you, in a sense, how devastating this virus has been in other areas, people not getting their lung capacity back and things of that nature. So about 19% of people will right now, from what they can tell, will suffer long-term effects just from fighting it off. 80%. I had COVID. Some of y'all know that. Um, During my, had already been through my period, whatever my quarantine period or whatever. But I was in the 80% low to mild symptoms to no symptoms. So that's what 80% of people will experience. So I do understand why some people are like, it doesn't look that bad or whatever. But unfortunately, the last thing I'll say, to be real clear, regardless of what people are saying about the vaccine, it is nowhere close or near how bad the virus actually is. Even if you, especially if you're in that 19% or that 1%, obviously, of people that have lost their lives to this virus. The vaccine's adverse effects, even if you mistakenly misunderstand how the VAERS report works and take it as these are all deaths that have been caused by the vaccine. Again, I haven't looked at it in about 2 months. I think it was at 1,500 or 1,600. So I'm pretty sure that number's higher now. And that's not to dismiss and say deaths are okay. I've already explained that's not what that report says. But I was just saying, even worst case scenario, if all the adverse effects that you see on the VAERS report actually happen, those numbers are nowhere close to the significant damage that this thing has done, in a sense. And then highlighting the African American community, 60,000 blacks died in 1 year, and I always like to put that in context. If you remember going through the 90s during the crack, late 80s, early 90s, and just how in a sense the country was all up in roar about all in a sense all of the the death that was happening in our neighborhoods and things of that nature. We were averaging about 10,000 deaths a year during the height of the crack epidemic, and this one damn virus can kill 60,000 black people alone in 1 year. So just trying to give context. I wanted to give an update. Holla at you, it's your boy Montoya Smith, aka Black Socrates. All I ask is that you think.